So this is the new Galaxy Z-Fold7. It's Samsung's thinnest foldable yet. There's a lot of great features, and they're advertising it as a very pro-oriented phone. But is it pro enough? There's one thing in particular I want to talk about in this video that may not be enough for a phone. There's many other things that are great about this phone though, and of course, starting off with the design, having a thinner foldable is significantly better. Like, I've been using thinner phones lately. I switched from the S25 Ultra to the S25 Edge, and honestly, a thinner phone makes a huge difference. It's more pocketable, it doesn't weigh as much, but you have the downside of the battery life. So this is 26% thinner than the Galaxy Z-Fold6, and yet the battery is still 4,400 milliamp hours on here. It also weighs significantly less, so if you think about one of the biggest drawbacks of folding phones, they were just like having two phones in your pocket. This actually weighs 215 grams, which is even lighter than the S25 Ultra. So it doesn't even weigh as much as Samsung's flagship slab phone. There's also a new Armor Flex hinge, which has a wider curvature when folded, which should reduce the crease. Honestly, the creases have been pretty solid for a while. I don't really worry that much about them. I don't really notice them on the book-style folding phones anyway. But the display is pretty interesting. So it is supposed to be 50% thicker, ultra-thin glass, and it has a grade 4 titanium lattice, as well as new adhesive material, so hopefully we don't have any kind of peeling as this phone ages. But talking about the display, it's a really solid display. This thing's pretty gigantic. It is the biggest display in any Samsung phone at 8 inches, corner to corner when you unfold the phone, and of course it's a dynamic AMOLED 2X display. Samsung display, it's going to be really solid. 120 Hz refresh rate on the outside and the inside display. And Samsung still kind of has that square-ish aspect ratio when you unfold it. I know I've been saying for a while that, other phones like the OnePlus Open or the Pixel Folds, I like their aspect ratio a little bit better, but all things considered, Samsung is starting to make this a little wider. The bezels are pretty narrow around there, and it really does feel like, a little more comparable than it used to be a couple years ago. This is also available in 4 different colors. We've got blue shadow, silver shadow, jet black, and there's an online exclusive called Mint. The cover display has Gorilla Glass Ceramic 2, and the back is Victus 2. And if you look at how thin this phone actually is, it's basically as thin as the USB Type-C port. Like, I don't know how they could really make it any thinner than it is. It also has wireless charging, fast wired charging 2.0, and it has wireless power share. Of course, IP48 dust and water resistance, same as we saw on the Z-Fold6, and a capacitive fingerprint sensor on the side. I thought it was interesting that there was really no mention of a silicon carbon battery here, where you think that would really make sense to have a more energy dense battery in a very thin folding phone like this. Like, especially a folding phone, you think you would want a more energy dense battery that could maybe take up less space or just have more energy capacity in the same space. But none of those are really what I'm concerned about, and neither is the price. Like, the price is definitely expensive at $1,999. It's no cheap phone, and if you want to pre-order it though, you can usually get an enhanced trade-in value. You can sometimes get some other bonus credits. I'll have links down below. Samsung usually gives out some exclusive links to some influencers, so if you want to support the channel and save money at the same time, check out those links in the description and in a pinned comment. But this comes in 3 different storage orientations: 256 gigs, 512 or 1 terabyte. And of course, out of the box, this is coming with One UI 8. So you're getting Android 16 and some other new One UI features on there. That's a topic for another video though. This is also powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, which is a fantastic processor I've been using for a while. It's very snappy, exporting 360 videos or basically anything you're doing on here. This phone crushes it. Gaming should be solid on this as well. But again, the one thing I'm actually worried about, so far everything's fine. The battery life's fine enough. Obviously, if you open the phone all day, it's not gonna last as long. But like I said, there was still one thing I'm concerned about. And Samsung's kind of starting to address it with this phone compared to previous generations, and that is the camera dilemma. If you're buying a top-tier flagship phone from Samsung, for example, you're between the Galaxy S25 Ultra and the Galaxy Z-Fold7, and they both have similar processors, a lot of similar specs. The cameras are now better on the Z-Fold7 than they used to be on the 6, now getting the flagship 200 megapixel primary lens. That's awesome. We have a 12 megapixel ultra-wide lens, which is definitely good enough. The ultra-wide now supports autofocus, so you have macro mode on here finally, and the ultra-wide is 56% brighter than it used to be, so better low-light photos. The cover display is 10 megapixels, and gone are the days of the selfie camera on the inside having pixels on the outside. I guess they figured eventually the quality wasn't quite there, so now there's a camera cutout when you open the screen. But the one lens that just doesn't quite do it yet, that I really am a big fan of, is the telephoto lens. This only has a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto lens, whereas the S25 Ultra is a 50 megapixel 5x periscope lens. And the periscope lenses, in my opinion, are significantly better than the just 3x lenses. Honestly, that is a huge one for me. So if you're looking to buy a flagship phone, and you are like me. The telephoto lens is my favorite lens. I love cropping in on things. You get no distortion, you get a really nice cinematic look to it, you get a nice bokeh on the photos. Overall, the photos from a telephoto lens on a phone just look so much better than any other lens on the phone, in my opinion. So for me personally, that's still a really tough one. You're deciding between that good telephoto lens or the folding phone. Additionally, obviously this doesn't come with an S Pen inside, but you can get a case that has an S Pen and you can use that on the phone. So aside from that, everything else being equal, Samsung is addressing that slowly, one generation at a time, by adding in that 200 megapixel primary rear lens, and I do appreciate that. But is it enough to really justify buying the Fold instead of the S25 Ultra? Let me know in the comments down below. Maybe I'll make a side-by-side photo comparison as well. If you want to see that, definitely get subscribed. And again, if you want to pre-order this, I'll have links down below that can give you an extra bonus. Be sure to check those out. Don't just go to Samsung and pre-order. You can save money by going through those links. Thanks for watching, guys. Now I recommend checking out the Galaxy Watch 8 and Galaxy Watch 8 Classic videos. Those just came out now as well.